कमलम श्री गुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्री रूपम सागर जातां सगना रघुनाथां वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सगना ललिता श्री विशाखां वितां स नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पेशाभूतरे श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारने निर्विशेष अश्विनवादी पाश्चात्य स्थाने वांछाकल्पतरुवशा कृपा सिंधुभ्यैव पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरवाणी नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोप्स गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये दीनचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्याम जगन्नाथाय च नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we are done till mantra number 4. So I'll just revise it first. Yes, and we had to go into Acharya's commentaries on mantra number 4.
Yes, bro. Yes.
So we'll begin with. So in mantra number 1, we learned how everything controlled and owned by the Lord, and that is why one should accept one's own quota and not look on others' quota, knowing that everything belongs to Krishna. Mantra number 2 said that if one lives with the consciousness of mantra number 1, one can live for hundreds of years without getting entangled. And mantra number 3 says, if one doesn't live with the consciousness of mantra number 1, then what happens to such a person? Such a person, he goes to Asuryanam Loka. He goes to the planets of the Asuras. And he gets impelled into darkness of ignorance. And then mantra number 4 was proving how Lord is beyond material dualities. So now we'll go in more detail about mantra number 4. So already we have discussed Prabhupada's purports. So in mantra number 4, Madhvacharya gives a very beautiful commentary. So he gives the explanation of verse by verse. Sorry, word by word. So he says, Lord is called Anejat. Anejat means not trembling. So in that sense, Lord is fearless. That's why he's called Anejat, not trembling. Then he's called Eka. Eka means Lord who is supreme. Because Lord is also sometimes called Asam Urdhava. Nobody is Asam, nobody is equal to him. But Urdhava means greater than him. Then it is explained that Manasojaviyo is swifter than the mind. Then Naina Devam Apnar Puram Arsat. Naina Devam Apnuvar. That means he cannot be fully understood even by demigods. They can't fully understand him. But Puram Arsat means as far as he is concerned, he understood everything from the beginning of creation only. Because Krishna is the knower of past, present and future. At the same time, Tadhavato Anyanate Sitistat. So he stays at one place, he remains at one place, but by his inconceivable power, he surpasses everyone, although he stays in one place. And that is possible because he is all pervading. And Tasmin Apo Matar Swadadati. This means Vayu supports the movement of all living beings because all the movements in the hands, legs, everywhere happens because of Vayu. Because Vayu is the source of all the actions. So in this way, all the actions arise from Vayu, and Vayu takes those actions and offers to the Lord. So in this way, everybody should offer everything to the Lord. That is the goal of life. So this is the commentary by Madhvacharya. And your Acharya has also given commentaries. I'll just read the translations alone. Vedanta discusses, the Lord is independent person who does not move, but he moves faster than the mind. The Devatas cannot understand and perceive this Lord, though he is present before them. Though remaining in one place, he overtakes all others who run. By his power, the air carries the water and the clouds. So it is by Lord's power that water and clouds are taken away by the air. Air gets so much power. Anyway, so Bhakti Thakur, he has given powerful translation. Actually, Baldev Vidyabhushan has also given almost same translation like Madhvacharya. So we read Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He says, Paramatma and Jivatma are unmoving. They are superior to matter and they are faster than the mind. The senses cannot grasp them because they always precede the senses. Though the mind may pursue Paramatma and Jivatma, it cannot surpass them. Who? Supreme Lord. While they remain inactive, Vayu performs all actions on their behalf. This is similar to what Madhvacharya has written. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that this verse shows the superiority of conscious living beings as well as Paramatma to that of matter. So in this gross and subtle world, the mind is the quickest because mind can go to any place. But it is behind Atma. So although Jiva does not move, it takes on life and performs action through Vayu, which is product of material energy. So as we are told before, 10 types of air are there. We discussed in Bhagavad Gita, Prana, Apan, Vyana, Udan, Saman, Dhananda, etc. They are the causes of movements in this body for Jiva. And as far as Lord is concerned, Lord moves through his Iksha Sakti, desire potency, and Kriya Sakti. Kriya Sakti means working potency. So by these two potencies, Lord works. So this was all about mantra number 4. And now mantra number 5. So we'll go to mantra number 5 now. Tat ejati tanne jati. Somebody can repeat after me.
Tat ejati tanne jati.
Just a minute. Tad dure tadviyantike.
Tad dure tadvantike.
Tad antarasya sarvasya.
Tad antarasya sarvasya.
Tad u sarvasyasya vayatah.
Tad yo sarvasya
yataha.
Please read translation.
Hare Krishna. The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but he is very near as well. He is within everything and again he is outside of everything. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So just a minute. What I'll do is I'll open the slides. So mantra number 5. Tad dure tabi antakari. So what you can do? You can read paragraph number 2, 3, 4, and 5. From this, we should not take it for granted.
We should not take it for granted that because we cannot see God with our eyes, the Lord has no personal existence. Sri ISOPANISAD refutes the argument by declaring that the Lord is far away but very near also. The abode of Lord is beyond the material sky, and we have no means to measure even this material sky. If the material sky extends so far, then what to speak of the spiritual sky, which is altogether beyond it? That the spiritual sky is situated far, far away from the material universe is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 15.6. But despite the Lord's being so far away, he can at once, within less than a second, descend before us with a speedy shifter than that of the mind or wind. He can also run so swiftly that no one can surpass him. This has already been described in the previous verse. Yet, when the personality of Godhead comes before us, we neglect him. Such foolish negligence is condemned by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita 9.11, where he says that the foolish deride him, considering him a mortal being. He is not a mortal being, nor does he come before with us body produced of material nature. There are many so-called scholars who contend that the Lord descends in a body made of matter, just like an ordinary living being, not knowing his inconceivable power. Such foolish men place the Lord on an equal level with ordinary men because he is full of inconceivable potencies. God can accept our service through any sort of medium, and he can convert his different potencies according to his own will. Non-believers argue either that the Lord cannot incarnate himself at all, or that if he does, he descends in a form of material energy. These arguments are nullified if we accept the existence of Lord's inconceivable potencies. Then we will understand that even if the Lord appears before us in the form of the material energy, it is quite possible for him to convert this energy into spiritual energy. Since the source of the energies is one and the same, the energies can be utilized according to the will of their source. For example, the Lord can appear in the form of the Archa, sorry, Archa Vigraha, a deity supposedly made of earth, stone, or wood. Deity forms, although engraved from the wood, stone, or other matter, are not idols. As the iconoclast content. In our present state of imperfect material existence, we cannot see the Supreme Lord due to imperfect vision. Yet those devotees who want to see him by means of material vision, unfavored by the Lord, who appears in a so-called material form to accept his devotees' service. One should not think that such devotees who are the lowest stage of devotional service are worshipping an ideal. They are factually worship the Lord who has agreed to appear before them in approachable way. Nor is the archa form fashioned according to the whims of the worshipper. This form is eternally existent with all paraphernalia. This can be actually felt by a sincere devotee, but not by an atheist. In the Bhagavad Gita 4.11, the Lord says that how he treats his devotees depends on the devotee's degree of surrender. The Lord reserves the right not to reveal himself to anyone and everyone, but to show himself only to those souls who surrender unto him. Thus, for the surrendered soul is always within reach, whereas for the unsurrendered soul, he is far away and cannot be approached. Can I stop here, Prabhu? I'll let you.
Yes. So this is the explanation of Tadure Tadvi Antike. So for who has surrendered, Lord appears in the form of deity. He can convert material energy into spiritual energy. He is present as Paramatma everywhere. But for those who are not surrendered, Lord is very, very far away. So he's very far also and at the same time very near also. In this verse, these contradictions are given which is possible only for the Lord. Like he walks and does not walk. So because he is all pervading, as Brahman, as Madhvacharya says, Lord is far away, at the same time very close. because he's inside and outside everything, and he's all pervading. So because Lord is like very far away, he's everything, he's all pervading through his energy. In that sense, he doesn't walk, because we walk to the place where we don't exist. Like when I'm not in some space, then I will walk to that place. But since Lord is everywhere, where the question of like walking, because Lord is everywhere. At the same time, he walks in his personal form as Krishna. Adaram madhuram vadanam vadanam chalitam madhuram gamatam gamanam madhuram. So in this way, Lord walks also. And for devotees, he is very near. For non-devotees, very far away. He is within everything and outside everything as Brahman. So that is how these contradictions prove that Lord has a form, but that form is not material form. So this is the exact goal of mantra number 5, to show that how Lord is spiritual and he is not material. So I'll just read a translation of few acharyas which look little different, and then tell their commentaries also. So Madhvacharya, he says, others fear the Lord, but the Lord fears no one. He is far away but close. He is inside everything and outside everything. Vedanta ISKCON Acharya and Sri Sampradaya. So he writes, the entity moves but does not move. It is very far away but also very close. It is within everything and outside everything. So that's the Vedanta ISKCON. Baldev Vidabhushan, he says, he moves and does not move. He is far and he is close. He is within all existing things and outside all the existing things. So what he says is, when it says Lord does not move, that means he does not stray away from dharma. One special dharma is always reciprocating with his devotees. He doesn't move away from that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he tells that this verse is also applicable for Atma also, living entity also. So what he says, Atma is both moving and not moving. He is far away and near, within and outside the universe. So what he says, those contradictions which are there in the material world are not there in the spiritual world. In spiritual world, nobody is bound by time, nobody is bound by space. That is why we find sometimes it is said that Prahlad Maharaj is there in Sutal Loka. We make deity of Prahlad Maharaj also, right? So is he there in that deity of deity form when he is there in near Narsingdev in Mayapur? He is there. So by the power of the Lord, devotees also get that power of expanding unlimitedly for whatever service it is required. So that is mantra number 5. So mantra number 5 shows there are no material limitations for Lord, and Acharya said it's not for living entities also. Material limitations of time and space. And then text number 6. Text number 4 and 5 show how Lord beyond all material qualities. And mantra number 6, it gives the vision of a Mahabhagavat. How does the Mahabhagavat see? Yastu sarvani bhutani. You can repeat after me.
Yastu sarvani bhutani
Atmani evanu pasyati.
Atmani
Evanupasyati.
Sarva bhutesu chatmanam.
Sarvabhutesu chatmanam.
Tato na vijukupsate.
Tato na vijugupsate.
Please read translation.
He who systematically sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his parts and parcels, and who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or any being. Hare Krishna.
To the vision of Mahabhagavat, he sees everything in relationship with the Lord. He sees all living entities as part and parcel of the Lord. And when you love the Lord, means you also love his creation, you love his children, living entities. So then such a person cannot have hatred. Where there is love, there cannot be any hatred. Because he sees everything in respect to the Lord only. So what I'll do, I'll just show the important words. So as we have already learned in a nectar instruction, so there are three categories of devotees: Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, Uttam Adhikari. So we'll not go in details, although Prabhupada has explained that in the purport. So we'll just, you can read these points from mantra number 6. Any one of you can read.
3 classes of devotees. Those who imitate an Uttama Adhikari by flaunting a sense of oneness or fellowship, but who behave on the bodily platform are actually false philanthropists. The conception of universal brotherhood must be learned from an Uttama Adhikari and not from a foolish person who does not properly understand the individual soul or the Supreme Lord Super Soul expansion, who dwells everywhere. Thus, the word anupasyati means that one should not see things as he does with the naked eye, but should follow the previous acharyas. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So what Prabhupada is saying is, like, so-called oneness on material platform is not possible. Like people talk about secularism, they say that everything is one. They talk about universal brotherhood. But on material level, that is not possible. It's not possible because on material level, dualities are always there. For example, if you are feeding food also, giving free food, then you may be giving free food to even the terrorists or people who are creating troubles for others. So if you're giving free food, they come and get energy and then they commit crime. Is it a welfare for the humanity or it is like a danger for the humanity? So that's on a bodily platform, there's no question of equality, no question of oneness. Like in Russia, here in Bengal, as well as Kerala, Tamil Nadu, these communists were coming and they were talking about no, everything is same, everything is one, we all are equals, we'll get equal ways. But then they also had 2 classes. They had a elite class and they had a working class. So officer class and working class was there also. Rather, in the communist regime, anywhere the corruption has been like anything. So all these people of officer class had been exploiting the people from the lower cadre. So that's why artificial oneness on bodily platform is not possible. Things are possible only when they are on the spiritual level. Because on a spiritual level, everybody is in part and parcel of Krishna. So he may be a wealthy person like Yudhishthira Maharaj, or he may be poor devotee like Sudama. Krishna considers everyone equally. So that is how on spiritual platform only that fatherhood is possible. So Prabhupada would say, unless until there is a universal fatherhood, there is no possibility of universal brotherhood. There has to be one father. And anupasati. So this particular oneness has to be seen by following on the footsteps of previous acharyas, how they saw oneness. Not that no, we come and cook up with a new philosophy of oneness. So that is not possible. So that's mantra number 6.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhu. I have one clarification, Prabhu. Universal brotherhood. Okay, this is the one word attracted me too much in ISKCON and Krishna consciousness and the philosophy initial days. But when we grow older in ISKCON, so the same word I'm getting a little contradictory, Prabhu. So one side we do a prachar that Vasudhaiva Kutumbam. Other side I see that it could be a systematic issue, not sure. So we create a walls between the temple, walls between the communities, wall between the God brothers.
So how are we dealing this, Prabhu? How to deal, and what is there any plans to overcome this walls, Prabhu? To
See,
become
these
really what we speak, Vasudhaiva Kutumbam, the same thing we need to represent in society also. So how it is possible, Prabhu?
that is possible only when all the devotees become Uttamadhikaris. And it is not possible. Like, for example, it is not that no, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam means Yudhishthira Maharaj and Sudama would take prasadam in the same plate. It was not like that. He had his own palace, Yudhishthira Maharaj, and Sudama had his own hut. But main thing is they were like ultimately worshipping Krishna in both the places. So what happens is in a society, material discrimination has to be there. Like financially, there are differences between temple to temple, center to center. Within the temple, there are departments. Departmental this are there. But then on the spiritual platform, you have to understand that everything is Krishna service. So then fine. If you are able to like perform nicely in an organization, that is good. Otherwise, why to worry so much? Similarly, now you're talking about Guru Prism and this and that is also there. So then we have our IDC course, etc. to show that how we have to be centered around founder Acharya Prabhupada. But many times I have seen that it doesn't matter so much. Especially, at least I have seen in Calcutta, more fights have been between the God brothers than with other God brothers. It's like people have more fight with their own God brothers. So the whole point is that when you stay in a place where material discrimination is required, material discrimination will be there. And to the degree we are absorbed in that, we will remain bodily conscious. To the degree we are above it, we will become like a spiritually enlivened. So then the whole thing is, the only thing is, we have to see everything in relationship to like in relationship with Krishna. That's all. Like even other sampradayas are there, Gaudiya Math and other societies are there. So we have a, you can say, actional dealing. How much limitation has to be there, how much not has to be there. Like for Gaudiya Math devotees, they can come to our temple, they can come take prasad, stay at guest house, they can be respected. But we don't like allow them to sit in Vyasasan and preach in our place. So that is not there. At the same time, we understand on a spiritual level, they may be more advanced than us, but possible. So that is why we have to learn to deal with body, which has discrimination. At the same time, on the spiritual level, you have to understand things are ultimately centered around Krishna. Krishna and Radharani.
Understood.
Yeah. So it has to be. You can't avoid. You can't avoid that in a organization.
Yes, we are in the material place that expected to be all this.
Yeah. It's like just because somebody becomes Uttamadhikari doesn't mean he doesn't discriminate between rice and dal and sabji. That material discrimination has to be there. So although all are prasad, still on a bodily platform, we have to discriminate. Okay. Susukarjan Prabhu's question is answered, it seems like that.
Similar question, Prabhu. Like my question, like as you said, discriminating we should do. So one of the problem here in this material thing is seeing everything as an ordinary. Like in the previous sloka, we saw, the Archavigraha especially. So the explanation comes like, when the Lord takes the form of a material things, he can immediately transform into spiritual also. So that is the explanation this thing. But problem with us is we understand the philosophical perspective, everything we understand. But one of the problem is to seeing the things, that is also an aparat, like, seeing things, everything as an ordinary. Like Uttamadhikari devotee also, when distance, when we see everything, about his qualities, when we keep on hearing, like in a class or listening, we feel, oh, what a great devotee is. The same thing when it comes very closer by, with the normal activities, automatically we tend to think like, by the activities of normal activities, immediately, we put in a situation that, things like ordinary is also like common. It's also an aparadh. But how this is always a challenge. Been in
That's why it is a sadhana. Sadhana means we want to do something which is not natural for us.
Okay.
So that's why we have to keep on hearing again and again and again and again repeatedly to see, okay, it is spiritual, and we have to again try and try and try and try. And one day will come when we'll become expert in that. So it's not like 1 day, 2 day affair. It takes a lot of time. And see, many times things are because of ignorance. Even when it comes to like pure devotees, Prabhupada disciples, or very exalted souls, we have to understand they are not God. The whole problem comes there only. So knowingly, unknowingly, everybody is searching for Krishna, then people start searching for Krishna within these personalities. So you have to understand they are not God. They are human beings. But then they are divine in the sense that they are pure devotees of the Lord. It is their last life, and then they are going to go back to Godhead. So then what we have to understand is that you can't expect them to behave like Krishna. Our whole problem is we expect them to behave like Krishna. After some time, we see some things which are not looking like Krishna's, then we try to make ourselves understand, no, it is Krishna only.
Yes.
And then later on, when it is proved that it's not Krishna, then we totally reject that person. So we have to understand that a person, he was a sadhaka and he is advancing Krishna consciousness, but even on a very pure level, he can have faults. And material discrimination is anyway there. That differentiation is anyway there.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, no devotee come and be that, how can Maharaj eat chow mein? He's supposed to be very... He's from a Western background, has a Western body, he can eat chow mein. Why do we have trouble? So that is how we become unnecessarily this bewildered. So you have to understand, we can't expect people to behave like Krishna. But that doesn't mean that they are not exalted. They are exalted in the sense that they have practiced for so many years and they have really that taste for holy name, Bhagavatam, services of the Krishna. They are dedicated to the mission. So we have to respect them for that. Okay.
Prabhu, like one more question, like we know now, like when coming to Vaishnava Prad and deity offenses and all, so we hear but how is the impact, Prabhu? Like we are not able to overcome, since we are in a Kanishtadikari and gradually in the process of Madhyamadikari rising, but it becomes very sometimes it comes actually. Will that be having so much of impact, Prabhu, like aparadh? So like even thinking also is an aparadh, or sometimes it comes like that. But
actually, thinking is not considered in Kali Yuga. Nanundu Kalim Samrat Sarangiv Sarvuk. Kuslani aso siddhanti innitarani kritaniya. So unless until one physically does offenses, it is not counted in Kali Yuga.
Okay.
At the same time, see what happens is even when we do with external senses, all those things experienced are registered in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So then even on the mental level, what happens is even if we are committing some aparadha in the mental level, that becomes purified over it due course of time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why what is easiest is to control the senses. Senses we have to engage in Krishna service, and in due course of time, mind will also become purified. Quite possible. So it needs patience. It takes many years. See what happens is generally many times we hear in the classes, Mahaprabhu glance and this fellow got Krishna Prem, Mahaprabhu embrace and this fellow got Krishna Prem, and Putana came with the ill intention and Krishna drank the this poison and gave her the position of Dhatri. So what we expect is not immediately it should like within few months or few years we should become fully purified. But really speaking, if you are from devotees, so many devotees, if you very sincerely practice, it takes at least 30 years to come to Nishtha. So that means a lot of patience is required. So it's a very, very long journey. It is not like a short journey. So we need that patience. What to do? Okay.
Sure. Thank you, bro. Right.
Yes, now we'll hear from other acharyas. Madhvachar. He who sees everything in the Lord and Lord in everything does not desire to protect himself. So such a person becomes fearless because he knows ultimately Krishna is in control of everything and Krishna will do things which is best for me. If I'm trying to practice Krishna consciousness, then why to worry? Why to worry? Even let us say we have fallen down from our position of Krishna consciousness, but if you have a desire to serve Krishna, then why to be fearful? So those who have this vision are fearless. Vedanta says that such a person never criticizes anyone. Nindatim sundar ishchit sange labdya. Baldev Vidya Bhushan says such a person does not hate anyone. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says same thing, he doesn't hate anyone because unless until one leaves hatred for everyone, one cannot have love for Krishna. Where there is hatred, there can't be any love. Where there is love, there cannot be any hatred. So love and hatred cannot simultaneously coexist. So mantra number 7 further explains about vision of Mahabhagavata. Please repeat after me. Yasmin sarvani bhutani
Yashvin sarmani bhutani
atme va bhut vijanatah
atme bhujantantaha
tatra ko moha ka soka
Tatra
tatra
ko
ko
moha
moha
ka
ka
soka
soka
ekatvam anupasyatah.
ekatvam
ekatvam
upasyatah.
anupasyatah.
Please read translation.
One who always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks, in quality one with the Lord, becomes a true knower of things. What then can be illusion or anxiety for him? Hare Krishna.
So anyone who sees on the spiritual platform, tatra ka moha, he cannot have illusion in this world because he is seeing things as they are. And ka soka, he will not have any sort of anxiety. Yeah. Why? Because ekatvam anupasata, he is seeing everything in connection with Krishna. Yeah. You can read this slide.
The Mahabhagavata, the great devotee, sees oneness in the sense that he sees everything as the energy of the Supreme Lord. Since there is no difference between the energy and the energetic, there is the sense of oneness. Although from the analytical point of view, heat and light are different from fire, there is no meaning to the word fire without heat and light. In synthesis, therefore, heat, light, and fire are the same. In this mantra, the words ekatvam anupasyataha indicate that one should see the unity of all living entities from the viewpoint of the revealed scriptures. The individual sparks of the Supreme Whole, the Lord, possess almost 80% of the known qualities of the whole, but they are not quantitatively equal to the Supreme Lord. These qualities are present in minute quantity, for the living entity is but a minute part and parcel of the Supreme Whole. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So Prabhupada gives example of fire. Fire means there has to be heat, there has to be light. So heat and light are non-different from fire in that sense. A devotee also sees that everything is energy of the Lord. In that sense, it is non-different from the Lord. So because entire world comes from the Lord, anywhere devotee goes, he sees Krishna only. And as far as living entities are concerned, they are also part and parcel of Krishna. They also have 78% of their qualities. So in that sense, devotee sees Krishna everywhere. And because he sees Krishna everywhere, there's no soak and no more, no illusion. Because one is seeing in the proper perspective in relationship with Krishna. And there is no soak. So now what I'll do, okay. So 2 more slides are there. Somebody can read this also to use another example.
To use another example, the quantity of salt present in a drop is never comparable to the quantity of salt present in the complete ocean. But the salt present in the drop is qualitatively equal in chemical composition to all the salt present in the ocean. If the individual living being were equal to the Supreme Lord, both qualitatively and quantitatively, there would be no question of his being under the influence of the material energy. In the previous mantras, it has already been discussed that no living being, not even the powerful demigods, can surpass the Supreme Being in any respect. Therefore, Ekatvam does not mean that a living being is equal in all respects to the Supreme Lord. It does, however, indicate that in a broader sense, there is one interest. Just as in a family, the interest of all members is one, or in a nation, the national interest is one, although there are many different individual citizens. Since the living entities are all members of the same Supreme Family, their interest and that of the Supreme Being are not different. Every living being is the son of the Supreme Being. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 7.5, all living creatures are throughout the universe, including birds, reptiles, ants, aquatic trees, and so on, are emanations of the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, all of them belong to the family of the Supreme Being. There is no clash of interest. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So in this way, like if one cooperates with father, and what is the work of father? Work of father is to ultimately maintain the family in a way that all the family members are happy. So similarly, if we cooperate with the Supreme Lord, then ultimately we are going to be happy. So in this way, there is no clash of interest. Everybody has same interest. What is that interest? To serve Krishna along with his energies. So that is the interest. So in that way, there is ekatvam. There is one goal. Okay, so you can read this also. This last slide of this mantra.
The real center of enjoyment is the Supreme Lord, who is the center of the sublime and spiritual rasa dance. We are all meant to join him and enjoy life with one transcendental interest and without any clash. That is the highest platform of spiritual interest. And soon as one realizes this perfect form of oneness, there can be no question of illusion, moha, or lamentation, soka. The Father extends himself through his children and maintains them in order to derive pleasure. If the children obey the Father's will, family affairs will run smoothly, with one interest and a pleasing atmosphere. The same situation is transcendentally arranged in the absolute family of the Parabrahman, the Supreme Spirit. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So here Prabhupada is speaking that how ultimately you have to cooperate with Krishna. And if we cooperate with Krishna, ultimately we are going to be happy. So Krishna is like personification of bliss. And Krishna wants to share that spiritual bliss with everyone. So if we cooperate with the Lord, we will also get an opportunity to experience that bliss. So who is going to benefit? We are only going to get benefit. That is the main thing. So Madhvacharya, what he says? The Paramatma within whom all living beings reside, Yasmin Sarvani Bhutani, has always existed within all living beings. Means Paramatma is all existing all the time. He never leaves living beings. Those who see Paramatma as one in all beings, that means whether it is Paramatma in my body or Susokarjan Prabhu's body or Kalyan Prabhu's body, he is same. then such a person, because he is always seeing Paramatma in others' heart, he attains the Lord. So for such a person, there is no lamentation, no delusion, because he will ultimately get Vishnu. Because whenever he sees anyone, he sees Paramatma in their heart. So he's meditating on Paramatma. So he'll ultimately get Vishnu. Vedanta Desika? He says, what lamentation or illusion can exist for that person who sees Lord pervading everything, who at the time of meditation realizes all beings as part of the Lord. So one who says Lord everywhere has no lamentation and illusion. So like soul is the prime mover of the body which we have. Similarly, Paramatma is the prime mover of the entire creation. So how such a person has no lamentation? Because such a person becomes free from possessiveness. He sees Paramatma is residing everywhere. Is avasyam, entire world is home of Paramatma only. So such a person is free from possessiveness, that's why there's no lamentation. Like Janak Maharaj spoke, Ananta Bhatta me vittam yasya me nasti kinchana mitilayam pradiptayam na me kinchit paraya pradyahate. Janak Maharaj said, my treasures are unlimited, but nothing belongs to me. So I have unlimited treasures, but they don't belong to me. That's why even if the whole Mithila is burned down, nothing of mine is burned down. That means I will not have any lamentation because nothing belongs to me. Everything belongs to Krishna only. So that's why what is that oneness? That Lord's attributes are present in everyone. So that oneness is there. Or oneness and relationship. Everybody is part and parcel of Krishna. Like Ram, Sugrivayor, Ekyam. Ram and Sugriva are one. How Ram and Sugriva are one, somebody can tell? Haribol.
Because both are part and parcel of God.
I'm saying Ram and Sugriv. Ram is Lord only, na?
Okay.
So how Ram and Sugriv are one in the pastime of Ramayana?
Maybe for both of them, their wives have been kidnapped.
Yes.
And both of them have been sent out of their kingdoms.
So that's why both of them had the same goal. What was the goal?
To get back their wife and the kingdom.
Yes. So we'll help each other to get their own wives. Ram said, I'll help you to get your wife. Sugri said, okay, then I'll help you to get your wife. So that's why they had oneness. So similarly, we also have the same goal. What that same goal? Cooperate with Krishna in such a way that Krishna and all his energies are satisfied. So that oneness and relationship has to be there. So that's why this particular verse shows that how devotee with knowledge has an intense desire to see Lord everywhere. He wants to see everything as part and parcel of Krishna. Baldev Bhushan, what delusion or lamentation can exist for one who sees oneness when all beings are Brahman for that knower? Because illusion and lamentation come from ignorance. And when we meditate on Paramatma, there can't be any ignorance. Bhakti Thakur, he says, when a person sees the oneness of the Lord with all entities, what illusion or grief can exist for that person seeing oneness? So like in the previous verse commentary, Bhakti Thakur said, where there's no love, there's no hatred. Similarly, he says, there's no illusion or grief. That's why this verse explains it is necessary to establish one's relationship with Paramatma. So if one establishes relationship with Paramatma, there cannot be any hatred for anyone, there can't be any grief, there can't be any illusion. No possibility. So that is the goal of life. Now we'll go to mantra number 8. Now this mantra number 8 is very, 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 very important. Why it is important? Because this mantra number 8 is like a flip. Because the previous verses can be spoken even if they are spoken for Brahman, not for Paramatma or Bhagavan. But this verse shows that the first part of the verse, that shows that Lord has no material qualities. And second one shows that the Lord with spiritual qualities has to be person. The first one shows that he has spiritual qualities, and second one shows that that person with spiritual qualities has to be a person. He can't be impersonal Brahman, not possible. So that's why mantra number 8 is very important for devotees, where it talks about personality of God. So you can repeat after me. Saparraga chukra makayam avranam
Saparyaga chukra kayam avaranam
asnaviram suddham apapaviddham
asna viram suddham apapaviddham
kavir manisi paribhu swayambhur
Kavir Manisi Paribhu Swayambho
yatha tato arthan vidatat shasvatabhya samabhya
Yatha Tatyathodhan Vyadhadhach Chaswati Vyasamabhya.
samabhyah.
Please read translation. Translation as well as slide. Both of them.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Such a person
Please.
Sorry, Prabhu. Such a person must factually know the greatest of all, the personality of Godhead, who is unembodied, omniscient, beyond reproach, without weed, pure and uncontaminated, the self-sufficient philosopher who has been fulfilling everyone's desire since time immemorial. Prabhuji, shall I read purport, Prabhu?
You can read what is there on the slide. It is from purport only, but selected things.
1 minute. That mantra 8, to confirm that the Lord is always pure and uncontaminated, the ISOPANISAD describes him as Shuddham, antiseptic, Apapaviddham, prophylactic. He is antiseptic in the sense that even an impure thing can become purified just by touching him. The word prophylactic refers to the power of his association. As mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 9.3031, a devotee may appear to be Sudurachara, not well behaved in the beginning, but he should be accepted as pure because he is on the right path. This is due to prophylactic nature of the Lord's association. The Lord is also Apapaviddham because sin cannot touch him. Even if he acts in a way that appears to be sinful, such actions are all good. For there is no question of his being affected by sin, because in all circumstances he is Suddham, most purified. He is often compared to the sun. The sun extracts moisture from many untouchable places on the earth, yet it remains pure. In fact, it purifies obnoxious things by virtue of its sterilizing powers. If the sun, which is a material object, is so powerful, then we can hardly begin to imagine the purifying strength of the all-powerful Lord. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so this Suddham Apapaviddham is very important here. Antiseptic prophylactic. Prabhupada uses the medical words because he was a medical man. So, the example, very good example is given that of a sun. Like a sun, when sun rays fall on the stool and urine, sun doesn't become contaminated. Rather, sun by its presence purifies the stool and urine. Similarly, when Lord comes in contact with sin, he doesn't become sinful. Rather, the sin becomes purified. So nobody can say that I can't be purified if I touch Bhagavad Gita, read Bhagavad Gita. Like when we go for book distribution, so many people say that I've eaten something, I cannot touch Bhagavad Gita today. Arey, you touch, we'll put Bhagavad Gita on your head, you'll become purified. Why? Because you can't contaminate Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is literally incarnation of the Lord. If you say, no, Bhagavad Gita cannot purify me, it is like saying that I will pass so much stool and urine that sun cannot purify. You can pass stool and urine in tons, still sun can purify. Sun is very powerful. So that is how Lord is also very powerful. He can purify any amount of sin. Now we like focus on more on the aspect of personality. So that we'll do through the translation by Madhvacharya. So what Madhvacharya says? He says, actually a similar verse in Varaha Puran, from there he quotes. So he quotes from there by saying that how each of these words has a meaning. So sa pratagyam chukram. Chukram means bright. Why Lord is called bright? Because he is devoid of lamentation. Avranam. Avranam means he has no blemish. He is eternally perfect. We can have some blemish here and there. We may have done some mistakes and there. Lord cannot have any blemish. Lord is eternally perfect. That's why I was saying sometimes on devotee expect all exalted souls to become like God. No. God has no blemish. Other people can have blemish. Quite possible. For living to stay without blemish is very difficult. So he's eternally perfect. Then Suddham. Suddham means he purifies everyone. And yeah. Then Akayam. Akayam is also given. Akayam. Akayam means no kaya. He doesn't have any subtle body. And Asnavira means he doesn't have any gross body, means he has no veins. So he has no gross body and he has no subtle body. And immediately this Mayavadis would say, oh, or impersonalists would say, oh, that means Lord has no body. So that's why the next verse talks about that no, he has no metal body, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have a body. He has a spiritual body. And that is proved by another verse, second line. What is that? Kavir. Kavir means, Kavi means wise, knowing everything, omniscient. So when we say a knower, he has to be person. Kavi has to be person. Manishi. Manishi means he is wise. He is wise in the sense that he controls the minds of all beings like Brahma and Lakshmi. So he has to be person. Paribhu. Paribhu means he is best of all. That means he is also a personality. And there are other living entities also, but he's best among all personalities. Nityo nityanam chetana chetanam eko vidu bahunam yo vidati kaman. So among all eternal beings, he is one special eternal being. Nityo nityanam chetana chetanam, among all conscious beings, he is a different type of conscious being. In what sense? Eko bahunam yo vidati kaman. He is the one who is maintaining everyone while fulfilling their desires. So that's why he is best of all, Paribhu. And Swayambhu means that he never takes shelter of anyone. Rather, he is creator of the world, eternal time, but nobody creates him. His body is made up of Satchidananda. So that Mahavishnu is perfect, with all perfect qualities, created the real universe. So in that sense, he proves that, this verse proves that Lord has to be a person only. So actually all acharyas have given very beautiful commentaries on this verse. But it is almost similar only. For Vilnandesik also he says similar thing. I just read translations, that's all. The knower of the Lord with transcendental vision, who is intelligent, who surpasses all others in knowledge, who is indifferent to objects of this world, attains a Lord who is self-manifesting without a material body having defects or veins, whose character is faultless, who is untouched by sin, piety, karma, or ignorance. Carefully considering all objects of this world, he continually sees which are favorable and unfavorable for his attachment of the Lord. So that means one should see how Lord is spiritual person and goal of life is to surrender to him. Okay, he has also spoken same thing, similar thing. Baldev Vidabhushan and Bhaktivinoda Thakur will see. So he says similar thing. The Lord is all pervading, pure, without body, without injury, without veins, without false appearance, beyond Maya, seeing everywhere, omniscient, self-manifesting and controlling all. And he arranges all eternal objects in their proper categories by his inconceivable powers. Means Lord performs all activities by his spiritual energy, whereas we try to do things through material energy. So this hand, legs, mind, intelligence is made of material energy. So we try to do things through material energy, but Lord does through spiritual energy. Yeah. So there is a difference between Lord and all of us. So we have a material body, which is made up of material energy, and Lord has spiritual body, which is made up of spiritual energy. So that's mantra number 8. It proves that how Lord is a personality as a person. Somebody can read this?
Krishna is pure.
Continue.
Go ahead, Prabhuji.
Krishna is pure. Apapa Vidham. So we must be pure to approach Krishna. Just like if we want to enter the fire, we must be also have a highly temperature, almost like the fire. Apapa Vidham. Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. So we should give up sinful activities and apply our energy for Krishna's service. Then our life is perfect. Arlington, USA, 72. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Prabhupada ki jai. So in this way, Prabhupada in this particular verse talks about this verse same, Suddham Apapaviddham. He explains that. So now mantra number 9 to 14. So this is also like a group of mantras. So I'll just explain then how they move about. So just a minute. Yeah. So mantra number 9 to 14 talk about a difference between absolute and relative. So already in mantra number 8, it is described that Lord works through his spiritual energy and we try to work through our material energy. So Lord is also a person, but he is an absolute person and this world is a relative world. So mantra number 9 to 11 talk about Vidya and Avidya. Vidya causes knowledge, Gyan. Avidya causes ignorance called nescience. So Vidya and Avidya should have a balanced program. We'll talk about balanced program. And the mantra number 12, 13, 14 describe how worship of absolute should be there, not the worship of relative. So those who worship demigod, they worship relative. Those who worship impersonal They also worship absolute, but not in the complete manifestation. Only devotees worship Lord in the complete manifestation. So, mantra number 9 onwards. Now, see, mantra number 9. Before talking about mantra number 9, we have to remind you of Bhagavad Gita. So, maybe I'll show that slide again. Because if I told you before also, that this ISOPANISAD, one of the goals of ISOPANISAD is to explain how this boy, Jadjan, whose father was Atharvan Rishi. So Jadjan wanted to practice Gyan Marg. So Jadjan Rishi is explaining him Atharvan Rishi is explaining to him how to practice this Gyan. So that program, those instructions are given now to explain it. So as we had discussed before, for Gyan Yoga, one has to first perform Niskam Karma Yoga to purify the mind of dualistic mentality. Then one can take Karma Sannyas, concentrate on Gyan, along with one has to practice Bhakti. And then one has to give up Gyan also. That I am this body. One has to give that up also. Then one can enter in Brahman. So this verses will also talk about balanced program of Vidya and Avidya. So again to remind, Avidya is made of a mode of passion and ignorance. Vidya is made of a mode of goodness. And the real knowledge beyond Vidya, that's why Jnanam cha Mani Sannyasat is given here, the knowledge of soul and super soul and spiritual world. That is actual knowledge. But somebody wants to practice Gyan, he has to be free from dualistic mentality. That cannot happen immediately. And that is why one has to practice Niskam Karma Yoga till one becomes free from dualistic mentality. So that will be explained now, how both Gyan and Vidya and Avidya both are required for one to practice, and that is safe side. That's a safe side. Otherwise, one practices Vidya directly without going through Avidya, then what happens? One falls down like a pretender, as explained in chapter number 3 and chapter number 5 of Bhagavad Gita. So similar thing is spoken here. So mantra number 9. We'll take mantra number 9. Andam tama pravisanti.
Andam tama pravishyanti.
Ye avidyam upasate.
Ye avidyam upasate.
Tato bhuya evite tamo.
Tato bhuya ivati tamo.
Ya o vidyaya yam rataha.
Yayo vidyayam rataha.
Now, according to Prabhupada, how Prabhupada explained Vidya and Avidya is, Vidya means remembering Krishna, Avidya means which makes you forgetful of Krishna. That is the definition of Vidya and Avidya given by Prabhupada. So you can just read what is there in the slide. Other details we had already discussed in our Bhagavad Gita.
Modern civilization stress on material civilization while excluding spiritual aspect. So people are unhappy. Avidya, forgetfulness of the fact that Supreme Lord is proprietor of everything. Karmis, engaged in activities of sense gratification. Veda, Vada, Ratha, those engaged in the study of Vedas. Maya, Ya, Prata, Nana, self-made gods.
So these all are the people who are part of Avidya. So problem in the material civilization, modern civilization is that there's enough facility to train people to enjoy sense gratification. So kids go to the school, they are taught how to make money, enjoy this world, enjoy sense gratification. But problem is that sense gratification itself cannot give complete satisfaction, it cannot give happiness. So then what happens is that a spiritual aspect is totally excluded, and that is why people are unhappy in this world. So it's like now, really speaking, the amount of energy which we put in getting like sense gratification is so much as compared to what we put in our spiritual lives. So everybody, like studies for hours and hours together for breaking competitive exam, entering in good institute. Then again, for working in the company, one works very hard. Despite that, people are unhappy because the spiritual aspect is given up. So those who are karmis, they anyway forget Krishna because they engage in sense gratification. Similarly, those who are Vedavatata, those who are karmakandis, they think we have to go to God for getting sense gratification. Again, the problem is there. Sense gratification cannot give you happiness. Even if you go to God for sense gratification. Problem is sense gratification cannot give you happiness. They also are in illusion. And there are Maya Pradgyanas who think that I am only God. Whole world is meant for my enjoyment. So they also focus on sense gratification only. So none of them are even dealing with Vidya. So as per definition of Prabhupada, Vidya means basically what reminds you of Krishna. Now there are other definitions of Vidya given by other acharyas. First we'll take Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya's like commentary is very rasik. Because he says Vidya means something who talks about Vishnu. Avidya means Mayavad. Because Mayavad Khandan is the aspect which Mahaprabhu had taken from Madhvacharya. And Madhva Sampradaya sannyasis even till today are very strong about defeating Mayavad. So we'll hear from Madhvacharya. What he says? Those who worship with false knowledge fall into blinding darkness. So those who don't know about Vishnu, they fall into darkness. But those who worship with true knowledge alone, without correcting false knowledge, fall into even greater darkness. That means somebody is knowing that I am worshipper of Vishnu, but he doesn't correct other people, he doesn't preach to people who don't know that Vishnu is supreme. Such a person will go to even deeper darkness. And he quotes from Puram Puran. It's like, I was amazed how he could find such a quote. Puram Puran says, please hear very carefully. Those who know Narayan in his true form, free from false, and simultaneously criticize those with false knowledge of Vishnu are true devotees. That means don't just practice, preach and defeat those who are against Vishnu. Those who have wrong knowledge about Vishnu like Mayavadis. By criticizing false knowledge which is full of sorrow and ignorance, they cross over sorrow and ignorance. So avidya is filled with sorrow and ignorance. So if you defeat those who have wrong knowledge, you also cross over sorrow and knowledge and ignorance. By knowing the complete truth, which is full of bliss and knowledge, they attain bliss and knowledge. And by having a right conception of Vishnu, one gets bliss and knowledge. So we need both. We want to get rid of sorrow and avidya. At the same time, we want bliss and knowledge. So we get bliss and knowledge by worshipping Vishnu, and we get freedom from sorrow and ignorance by defeating Mayavad philosophy and other misconceptions about Vishnu. So that is given from Kurum Puran. Madhvacharya quotes from Kurum Puran. Vedantista he says, so according to Vedantista, avidya means dealing with varnashram. Varnashram is dealing with these things of this world. And vidya means cultivating knowledge about soul. That is vidya. That is Vedantista's definition of vidya and avidya. So what he says, those who are absorbed in performance of prescribed actions without knowledge enter into darkness. That means they just practice varnashram, but they have no goal to get Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, any one of them. Such people enter into darkness. But those who engage only in knowledge while neglecting the performance of prescribed duties enter into even darkness. That means, if you are just practicing getting knowledge of Gyan, of I am not body, I am soul, but one is not doing one's prescribed duties of being a grahastha or duties towards his family members, mother, father, company, etc., then one will go into deeper darkness, what he says. So that's why you are saying do both. Cultivate knowledge of Brahman, knowledge of soul, at the same time perform your prescribed duties very, very nicely. Now for bhakti, that is not required. Still devotees, if they do their varnashram duties properly, because we are on bodily platform, it helps, it makes it easier to perform bhakti. As simple as that. Baldev Vidyabhushan says, those who engage solely in karma attain blind ignorance, and those who engage only in Gyan attain even greater ignorance. Same. Because those who do only karma, they want to enjoy in Svargaloka. So they get repeat birth and death. They're born again. Chhine punya marta lokam vishanti. And that's why it is a blinding state. But those who focus only on Gyan, they want Brahman, they're more into darkness because they don't even realize that I have a form, I have a personality. They forget everything. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, one who is situated in ignorance or who is engaged only in material life goes to the region of darkness. But those who want only impersonal liberation, they go even to the deeper darkness. So he explains further in the purport saying that as far as Vidya and Avidya are concerned, both are product of Maya, as we told before. Because Avidya is product of mode of passion and ignorance, and Vidya is product of mode of goodness. But all three modes are ultimately modes of material nature only. Avidya, by Avidya one creates matter, by Vidya one crosses over matter or destroys matter. By Avidya one realizes or starts thinking I am body. By Vidya one realizes I am not body, I am soul. That's why those who are engaged only in Avidya, they are engaged in matter. So they're covered by the darkness of matter, thinking I am body, everything related to body is mine. But those who are engaged only in Vidya, so Vidya destroys the ignorance that I am body. One understands I am not body, I am soul. But if one doesn't understand that I am part and parcel of Krishna, one doesn't take shelter of bhakti, then one enters in the region where one thinks that Atma is destroyed. He thinks, I become Brahman, my existence will be lost. So in this way, one gives up variety of this world and one becomes attracted to something without quality, that is Brahman. But problem is that unless until one takes shelter of Paramatma, he cannot be liberated even from matter. So as we had discussed 4 types of, if you remember, Gyanis in Bhagavad Gita. So the best Gyani is one who takes to devotion service, gives up Gyan Marg. Second best is one who gets Brahman by practicing only Bhakti. Third best is who practices Gyan and Bhakti but to get Brahman. And the worst is one who doesn't practice Bhakti at all. Such a person don't get Brahman also. So that is why such people are totally obstructed. So that is explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur here. So that's mantra number 9. Now we have 3 minutes. We will not go to mantra number 10. So mantra number 10 onwards, we'll do next class. So mostly 10 till 14. So around 5 verses. That we'll do in the next class. Okay, so we'll end here. Sri ISOPANISAD ki,
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki,
Jai.
Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare.
Thanks.